What's going on, everybody? Okay, here, and today a little bit of Street Fighter 6. So today I want to talk about some nerdy stuff, frames. We're in game here, and the frame meter displays by default. If you've done any practice mode at all, you would have seen this thing that when you press buttons, it has some information, startup, total, advantage, like all these numbers. I wanted to make this video mostly because in the menu of training mode, they have something about frames. It says the frame meter and you. Now, the problem is, there's a lot of text. It's a lot of text. So there is some pretty good info in here, but I want to kind of extrapolate a little bit more on what this is talking about and how you can use this information to your advantage. The biggest things you can get from this, besides how to actually read the frame meter that it shows you in training mode, is some of the definitions between what people mean by startup, total time, and advantage. And then also the huge thing, and I'm stressing this as well, you don't actually need to know frame data in total, like frame information in total, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So first, as described, this game runs at 60 frames per second. Most fighting games do. All fighting games run at 60 frames per second. With this information, you can measure things that happen in the game. So what we're seeing here when I press setting medium punch, for example, is the 10 frame startup, right? So that's 10/60ths of a second, or 1/6 of a second. The total time would be 26 frames, so that's almost half a second. The frame advantage, because I hit her and she didn't block, +4. The green means it's plus. Notice that the advantage is different on block compared to on hit. So they do this on purpose. So these things being minus on block but plus on hit means you could do things on hit or have advantage on hit, but on block you might not like get the same sequence or something like that. So let's look at each one individually. So startup matters because that's how fast your move starts. For example, it's a good idea to know what your character's fastest button is, right? So for Honda, he has 4 frame normals. To my knowledge, it's the fastest type of move you could have in the game. Even faster than throws, which is, for me, pretty unusual. So it's 4 frames. His crouching jab. Why is it important to know what your fastest move is? Mostly so you know what to counterattack with, especially if your character gets a combo for counterattacking. So for example, here we're gonna have Cammy take a massive turn by walking an eternity. So why is it a massive turn? Because it's only +1, so it's not that she can't go for a throw, it's that I'm making her walk really far on purpose. If I press something that's really slow, like let's say this, I'm gonna get grabbed out of it every time. The reason is because this move is my down forward heavy kick, and this move is 22 frames just to start. It's not fast at all. But if we use a different button, like let's say my fastest button, I can easily counterattack. I can easily counterattack and get a nice short little combo. So the next thing is actually the game tells you this. It's that you don't need to memorize a bunch of information on individual moves to enjoy the game or even be good at the game, but it does help to know specific things by character, especially if you're having problems. But one thing that is a nice easy general rule is that most moves in this game are not advantage. So there's 2 ways of looking at this too. So almost every move that I will make Cammy block here that I will do are varying degrees of negative, which means she could counterattack me depending on what move I did, right? So like this, she could just counter me as -6, right? Or this, which is -2. So this, she can't punish me for, but she could swing before me. So on the one hand, that means when you block moves, you should be pretty confident that you could at least try to do something if you don't know what to do. So out of all these moves I did, there's only one of them that is straight up advantageous, which is this. It's my standing medium punch. This is not common for characters to have a button like this. So if we look at Cammy, for example, she pretty much does not have an advantage poke at all. She has good data on her pokes in general. This one is basically her only +1. And then depending on how you do dive kicks, they could have advantage as well. But again, the point here is that just if you don't know what a button is on block, it's probably disadvantage, especially if you're starting, because people won't know like what are the good buttons to use or how to sequence things properly. But also, just because the button is negative doesn't mean that you can punish it very easily or even do something about it. So a really good example is Honda's headbutt. So this move is -4, which would be punishable by some characters' fastest buttons. Like Honda has a crouching jab that's 4 frames, but it places you outside of attacks, so you can't get punished straight up. Some characters can stick out buttons, but most people can't reach here quickly in an effective fashion. So for example, I'll make Cammy block heavy headbutt. Okay, so her button reaches here, reaches me here. I can walk back and then punish her button. Kind of just naturally happens. Or if she actually did have something that reached me, I could take a risk and use my armor headbutt instead. Since the move is not huge, even though I'm at a disadvantage and she's moving first, I'm in a position that I can protect myself and counterattack her anyway. I believe Street Fighter players call this like a spacing trap. This is pretty common in modern fighting games in general because most modern fighting games are made around many attacks being disadvantaged. So you could take advantage of this as well. We're going to use Cammy as an example here. I'm going to have her do her crouching medium kick at like maximum spacing. Remember that this button is disadvantageous, but she's going to hit my counterattack in advance. So just like that. I would have to specifically wait or walk out the way or maybe use something different like using headbutt or something instead of just pressing a button. So even though the game tells you that the move is disadvantageous, it doesn't necessarily mean it's disadvantageous, like straight up, like you're in a bad situation. You can create situations where you can bait someone to attack and then hit them anyway, which is pretty nice. So now this leads us into the drive system, so this. So the big deal here is that attacking out of a drive rush adds 4 frames of advantage to anything that you do. So for a game where basically everything is supposed to be disadvantaged, it makes drive rush, especially the raw drive rush that only costs 1 bar, quite valuable. For example, this button, which is supposed to be -1, now is +3. Or this button, which is already +1, now is +5. So you're able to basically guarantee offense or combo off things that you can't normally combo off of. So for example here we have Cammy crouching. So I'm going to use Honda's down forward heavy kick. So it is plus on hit, it's +3, but if you remember, the fastest button he has is 4 frames. So we can't really take advantage of that. But if I did it out of drive rush, now it's +7, so there's a lot of moves I can combo out of this with. So you can use this both to combo and do offensive sequences, which I find obviously pretty good. So we talked a lot about startup and advantage, but why total? Why does it show the total duration of the move in a number? So what you could use this piece of information for is how realistic it is for you to react to that action in a certain amount of time. This is kind of an advanced thing, to be honest. I'm going to be throwing out some numbers that have been thrown around in fighting games for a while to kind of explain this. Cammy here is doing her standing light kick over and over. The game is showing it as 17 frames total. So typically in like the games I'm from, like anime fighters like Guilty Gear, we say the baseline for being able to react to something is around 18 or 19 frames. Technically that number should be around, I want to say like 14, 15 frames, because I think the average human's reaction time is like 0.250 milliseconds or something like that. I'm going to pray to my editor that he puts the math on the screen for me because I don't feel like doing it. But on a serious note, this number versus what players say is reactable tend to clash in discussions about reaction, because people are like, that's wrong. Humans can react faster than that. But most fighting games, and this is usually because a lot of fighting games are played on consoles, there is delay built into the console. I don't actually know the numbers specifically for Street Fighter 6, so I'm not going to say them. But for example, for Guilty Gear, the base version of PS4, the original PS4, has around 4 frames of delay. The PS4 Pro and PS5 versions of Guilty Gear Strive have like 2 frames of delay, and the PC version can be made to have only a single frame of delay. So this affects what you can and cannot react to. So for more offensive games, you're worried about like, can I react to this mix-up? Can I react to them jumping in this way? Can I react to them doing this chain? But for Street Fighter, and especially Street Fighter 6, the reason why the total duration matters in this game outside of offense is because of the punish counter system. So when you whiff something in this game, you get a special type of counter hit that has a lot of reward, which is different than just counter hitting them, as in hitting them out of the move. So this counter hit is different than this, and you can see it in the impact too. My standing heavy punch is a good counter hit here, but if I whip punish the sweep, I get a bomb. This is so much more time to combo. So I mean, really simple combo, but that just goes to show you, like, I didn't cancel that standing heavy punch. I let it recover, and then I did the launcher boost. It just shows that you have a ton of time to combo when you specifically whiff punish things. So the last thing I want to talk about in regards to frames are meaties. I actually mentioned meaties in my video of why you can't get to diamond, and there are a couple people asking me, what is a meaty? So I want to talk about it here. So this is looking at the red part of the frame meter specifically. So this is called the active frame. So a move is split into the startup, which is the beginning of the move. Then the part that actually hits you is called the active frames. So this is the part where like you can actually get attacked, like hit by the moves. Once that part is over, it's called recovery, and that's when the move is ending and the character is returning to neutral. Your goal with a meaty is to hit with the later parts of your attack so that you have more advantage than normal, because the recovery will be the same regardless. So to show this, we're going to use this move. This move is +3 on hit, so I can't hit it normally. Like I can't get like a combo normally. I get to keep my offense, and as we showed before, with the extra frame advantage from this, I'm able to get a combo, but we want a little more this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my headbutt knockdown, and I'm going to time my down forward heavy kick so that I'm hitting with the later part of the move. And I'm going to do it late enough that I'll be able to combo with it with a move that I can't normally do. As you can see there, I cannot do this combo normally. Normally I need to use drive rush, but because I'm hitting with the end of the move, I have more advantage than normal, because again, my move recovers at the same time no matter what, and I'm able to link those jabs. If you have something that lines up the timing, most people call this a frame kill. So they're doing something so that they don't have to actually time what they want to do. Instead, they do a sequence of buttons so that the timing lines up perfectly, then you can get this whenever you want. So for a simple example, I have this. It's like its EX hands, like sumo steps is called. In this case, we have this to combo, and it's gonna knock down. And my frame kill here is going to be dash. And what you're going to notice is when I dash, I have about 26 frames of advantage. Remember that this is 22 frames, so I should be able to immediately do my down forward heavy kick and then follow up with jabs because of this. And it works just like that. So if you ever see people do like some type of knockdown, they whip a button, jump, and then do something, or they do dash dash, or they do dash dash, or they like back dash, or maybe they tap forward or something. This is the reason why, is so that they can kind of line up this timing. And with that, that's kind of the basics of frames in fighting games, kind of just reflected in Street Fighter 6. Let me know if you have any questions. I tried to do this basically based off what I saw in-game and tried to extrapolate a little bit off this. So hopefully this helped. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Shout out to all the patrons on Patreon again. We do like viewer request videos. I give some insight on my process of making videos, how I come up with ideas, all sorts of stuff over there. So go check that out if you're interested in that. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.